What's up, guys? Obviously it's Sunday, the 9th of February. So yesterday I did a video talking about the names that have been released from WWE. Now, after I did that video, it was confirmed that another four wrestlers had been released. These were Isla Dawn, Giovanni Vinci, and the Good Brothers, Luke Gallows and Arn Anderson. Now, obviously, these are some interesting names. I mean, obviously, Isla Dawn was a part of the tag team Unholy Union alongside Alba Fire, and it's that question now of what are WWE going to do with Alba Fire now that Isla Dawn has been released and it's obviously no longer a part of the WWE. It's like, do they give her a singles run? It's like, what direction do they go in with Alba Fire? It's like, what do they do with her now that her tag team partner has been released from WWE and is no longer a part of the company? Now, obviously, no one ever likes to hear that, someone has lost their job. I don't like to hear that. And obviously, you can't help but feel sorry for these names that have been released. I mean, you look at Giovanni Vinci, like, when they kind of took him out of Imperium, I thought that they were actually going to do something pretty decent with him. But the thing is with Giovanni Vinci is it's like they've not really done anything with him since he left Imperium. And it's like, I mean, obviously Ludwig Kaiser hasn't done too badly. He's had a couple of title opportunities. Same can be said for obviously Giovanni Vinci. Giovanni Vinci was repackaged, brought back to SmackDown, and again, they've not done it. They haven't done anything with him. And it's like, what was the point in even repackaging him if they were just going to end up releasing him? But if I was Luke Gallows and Arn Anderson, I would be really, really pissed with WWE because you think about it, right? They've released Arn Anderson and Luke Gallows, but we know that Arn Anderson is out injured and wasn't due to be back in WWE for another couple of months until after WrestleMania. So I feel like WWE, with that right there, they've kind of made themselves look quite bad, for the fact that they've released a wrestler who wasn't medically cleared to compete anyway, and was still out injured and wasn't due to be back until after WrestleMania. Obviously, that was the big part of the reason why Luke Gallows hasn't been on TV recently over the last several weeks, is because obviously Arn Anderson has been out injured. And it would have made sense for them to kind of wait until Arn Anderson was actually back and was actually medically cleared before releasing him, rather than releasing him whilst he was still out on the shelf injured and unable to wrestle. I think, I mean, obviously they've not done that much. They've not done that too often, but to release a wrestler that's still recovering from an injury, I feel like that's not a sensible thing to do. Like, I honestly don't know what WWE were thinking of that. Like, the fact that they released Arn Anderson from his contract when he was still out on the shelf injured and wasn't due to be back in WWE for another couple of months. We know that obviously, as I said, he wasn't due to be back in WWE until after WrestleMania. So it kind of stinks a little bit that they released a wrestler that was injured. It feels like that's a decision that doesn't make sense. It's like, why would you do that? Why would you release a wrestler that isn't even medically cleared to compete at this time of recording is, and is still out injured and isn't due to be medically cleared for at least another couple of months? Would it not have made sense to wait until that wrestler was actually medically cleared before actually making that decision to release them? Rather than, surely they must realise how bad it actually makes them look, the fact that they've released a wrestler that was still out on the shelf injured. Because it does make them look very bad, the fact they've made that decision. I mean, yeah, obviously they weren't getting a lot of TV, these wrestlers that have been released, obviously they weren't getting a lot of TV time. I'm still quite shocked about Sonya Deville, obviously she seemed to be doing quite well with Pure Fusion Collective, obviously alongside Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler. The fact that they're not going to renew her contract when it expires is quite shocking. And Cedric Alexander as well being released after 8.5 years with WWE. I still can't believe he was actually in WWE for that long, like 8.5 years. He's actually like it's funny how he's lasted longer in WWE than pretty much most of his teammates. You know, his former Hurt Business teammates who have already left WWE. Obviously their contracts expired. Well, Shelton Benjamin was released, but Bobby Lashley and MVP's contracts expired, and they chose not to obviously chose not to re-sign with WWE, and instead jumped ship to AEW, which I don't think was necessarily a bad thing. The fact that MVP and Bobby Lashley both jumped ship to AEW. I mean, obviously, it's sad that obviously their time with WWE has kind of come to an end, and these wrestlers are obviously now unemployed. Now, obviously, they can't compete for 90 days, because obviously they are under a 90-day non-compete clause, but we know that Sonya Deville, once her contract runs out with WWE at the end of the month, she will be free to actually sign for another promotion, and she won't be under a 90-day non-compete clause. She will be able to sign with whatever promotion she wants to sign with once that contract expires at the end of the month. Obviously, WWE not going to renew that contract. It's also the fact that they've released Paul Ellering in the Authors of Pain as well. They brought obviously Triple H brought the Authors of Pain back, had them as a part of the Final Testament, which means that obviously the Final Testament is no more. But it's like, obviously they need tag teams. And also Pain would have been a really decent tag team. But the fact that they've been released, it's just crazy, to be honest. These are two guys that have been absolute beasts. They've given the opportunity to show what they can really do in WWE, but they've not really been given a chance to show that. I mean, it's sad, as I said, it is sad that most of that these wrestlers have been released. I do feel bad for obviously Luke Gallows and Karl Anderson in particular, the fact that they've been released when Karl Anderson is still out injured and isn't expected to be medically cleared for another couple of months. That is an incredibly bad move there by WWE to do something like that, to release a wrestler that was out injured. It was the same when Vince released Nia Jax. They released Nia Jax at a time where she had actually taken time off WWE to deal with personal issues, and they chose to release her from a contract. Karl Anderson is out injured, and isn't due back and wasn't due back for another couple of months. They've released him from his contract whilst he was still out injured. I mean, didn't they do that? Didn't Vince do the same with Bobby Lashley? Didn't Vince release Bobby Lashley whilst he was out injured? Because I think he did do that, didn't he? So, that's not the sort of thing you would be expecting Triple H to do. You wouldn't really be expecting Triple H to be releasing a wrestler from their contract while they're still injured, while they're out on the shelf injured. You wouldn't. I mean, it doesn't seem right that they've done that, to be honest. It doesn't seem right to me that they've, and I'm sure that a lot of wrestling fans out there might, obviously agree with me on this, but it just doesn't feel right to me that they've released Karl Anderson when he was still out injured, and obviously it wasn't due back, in WWE for another couple of months until after WrestleMania. It feels so wrong that they've released him whilst he was out injured. And I really just genuinely disagree with that. I really don't agree with the fact that WWE have done that. I feel like it was a really bad thing that they've done, a really bad move from them to release Karl Anderson when he wasn't even medically cleared to compete at this point. Obviously, we know that he's still not due to be medically cleared until at least around April time, possibly early, maybe end of April, early May. I don't know, but it's just mad. Why release him? I mean, that's obviously that's the sort of dumb, silly thing that you would expect Vince McMahon to do. You wouldn't be expecting Triple H to do something like that, to release a wrestler when they're still out injured. As I said, surely WWE must realise how bad it makes them look, the fact that they've just released a wrestler who was out injured, or who is still out injured. Like, not a very sensible thing to do by any standards. You know, WWE, as I said, have just made themselves look incredibly bad with this. I mean, I get them releasing Isla Dawn, you know, and these other wrestlers that have been released, because at least they're not out injured. But Harl Anderson wasn't even medically cleared to compete. Therefore, he should not have been released. Why release a wrestler when they're not even medically cleared to compete? On what planet does that even make sense to do something like that? You know, in what way is that a sensible thing to do? It doesn't seem like a sensible thing to do to me. To do, like, in my opinion. You know, that's a really dumb, stupid thing to do, to release a wrestler that's not even medically cleared to return at this point. Like, at least wait until Harl Anderson and Lou Gallo, until Harl Anderson was actually medically cleared to return, to actually make that decision to release him. Don't release a wrestler while they're still out injured. You know, it's like they can't. I feel like WWE can't not expect to be criticised for this, or they can't not expect a shite ton of backlash for this, because I think people will give them a shite ton of backlash for the fact that they've released Harl Anderson when he was still out injured. You know, I think a lot of people will say, well, that was a really dumb, stupid thing to do. I mean, surely there can't be any wrestling fans out there who agree with the fact that they've released Harl Anderson whilst he was still out injured. I mean, you'd have to be sick to agree with the fact that WWE have done something like that. Because there's no defending that, really. There's no excusing the fact they've done that. You know, as I said, if I was Luke Gallows and Harl Anderson right now, I'd be mega pissed with WWE for that. The fact that they've released Harl Anderson when he wasn't medically cleared to wrestle at this point and was still out on the shelf injured. Like, dumb move there, WWE. Very dumb move. So yeah, obviously, I just wanted to do a short video, a little video, you know, giving my thoughts on these releases. I don't know if there's any more releases to come, or if that's it for now. I mean, Gallows and Anderson, I think, is a very surprising one, because I didn't see them really being released this year. You know, I didn't see Sonya Deville being someone who would leave WWE. I mean, Cedric Alexander, to be fair, it did feel like only a matter of time before he ended up being released. And, you know, same with names like Blair Davenport, who was also released as well. I think I'm also a little bit shocked by the fact that Ilsa Payne and Paul Ellering have been released. I think that one really caught me off guard. You know, as with the release of Sonya Deville. Also the releases of the Good Brothers as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you for another one soon. Bye bye.